Hello, my name is Alex, and this is a lap around the Microsoft Store CLI. Here's a quick agenda for the things we'll cover in the session. First, let's do a quick recap of what is the Microsoft Store and why should you publish your application in it. Then, a quick overview of what is the Microsoft Store Developer CLI, and then we wrap up with not one, not two, but three quick demos. How to set up the CLI in your dev box, how to set up a project to use the CLI, and how to integrate it in a continuous integration environment. So, why should you care about the Microsoft Store? Well, the store is the best place to find new users and distribute your app. On Windows 11 alone, the Microsoft Store is seeing 50% of users coming to the store in the first month, and across Windows 10 and 11, we have seen tremendous growth. Just within the last 12 months, the Microsoft Store had close to 1 billion unique customers. That's not all. Developers can bring any app type regardless of the platform or framework. That includes C++, .NET, Electron, Flutter, PWAs, Qt, React Native for Windows, Rust, and many, many more. Also, we understand that some developers still want to control the installation process of their apps through their own website. This is why the Microsoft Store does not force you to use our app to initiate installation. If you prefer, you can leverage our pop-up store, an application on the Windows PC that is invoked via markup on the web page. When the customer clicks the install button, they remain on the website and see a small Windows native dialog which handles the full install experience. The app is still listed, discoverable, and installable via the Microsoft Store client and retains all the same analytic capabilities. But now you can keep the customer on your site to complete additional tasks or further engage. Additionally, the overall install experience for the customer is simplified to a single pop-up. If you're interested, sign up. Here's a short link to help you get started. Also, check out the Reach breakout session as it talks about everything you need to know about the Microsoft Store and all the improvements we've shipped just within the last year. All right. Now, once you have your account set up on Partner Center, in order to publish your application, you have a few options. Option number one is to use Partner Center directly, and that is the recommended way if this is your first submission. Still, subsequent submissions don't require you to use the browser at all. This is where the CLI can mostly help you. We can use the Microsoft Store Developer CLI to automate the creation and the upload of new packages to the Microsoft Store. In very simple words, the Microsoft Store Developer CLI is a new product that is shipped, of course, as an app in the store that helps developers with several tasks related to the Microsoft Store, from querying application data to helping in the publishing journey to the Microsoft Store. It's important to notice that the CLI supports both MSIX and MSI apps, also known as traditional desktop apps. So there is nothing forcing you to use one or the other. The CLI simplifies the authentication process with the Partner Center APIs and makes it much easier to make automated updates to your app's description or even updating the app's assets like screenshots, promotional content, as well as the actual app packages. It is an open source, C#-based and cross-platform command line app targeting Windows x64 and ARM64, as well as macOS and Linux, which supports a number of commands out of the box. It also supports a wide range of application types like UWPs, PWAs, Flutter, React Native, Windows App SDK apps, .NET MAUI apps, as well as Electron. For continuous deployment integrations, it supports GitHub Actions and Azure DevOps, but there's nothing blocking you from using it with other build systems, as it only requires the .NET 7 runtime. And for simplicity, its installation is as simple as extracting the release bundle from our GitHub release page. So now, let's go for our demo number one. Let's set up the CLI on our development environment. For installing the CLI, there are a few options. You can install it from this short URL, Or on Windows, use winget, which installs the CLI from the Microsoft Store. For Mac and Linux, you can simply use brew and the CLI will also be installed in a second. After installation, all you need to do to set up the CLI is to run it once with no parameters and follow the prompts on the screen, regardless of the platform where you're running it. A very important thing to notice is that when asked to sign in, you must use your Azure AD credentials, not your MSA. If you don't have a tenant associated with your account, Partner Center can easily create one for you with just a few clicks. Let's see how this works. Let's type MS Store. Since this is my first time running it, the CLI is going to ask me for my AAD credentials. We'll sign up and tell it that we don't have a client secret yet, so it will create one automatically for us. Then it tells us that it will open the browser, since we need to link this newly created AAD app with Partner Center and give it the right permissions. We simply press Enter, and the browser is open for us at the right page. Again, make sure you sign in with your AAD credentials on the browser too, not your MSA. We click on Add Azure AD Application, select that option again, then click on Continue. Then we select the application that was created for us, which will have the computer's name on it. In this case, Build Demo PC, and click on Next. We select Manager Windows and click on Add, and that's it. We gave the Azure AD application the right permissions, so now we can go back to the CLI to finish the setup. We select Yes here, press Enter, and now we only need the seller ID from Partner Center, which the CLI will also open the browser at the right page for us to simply copy it. We copy the seller ID, go back to the CLI, paste it there, press Enter, and that's it. It seems to be working. Let's try it out. We will run a simple apps list command to see if we can list all our registered applications. MS Store apps list. And yep, seems to be working. We're now fully ready to run any command with the CLI. The CLI supports a variety of commands, but the ones I want to focus now are part of a process that enables you to easily publish your app to the store, which is what we call the 3 steps. First, we must initialize the local project, which configures your local project files to be ready to build for the store. Then we do the actual building and packaging of the application, bundling an MSIX with your app assets and executables. And finally, we publish the packaged MSIX to the store automatically. The first step is usually ran on your dev box, and the last 2 in a continuous deployment pipeline. But there's nothing keeping you from running the package and publish steps from your dev box too, for testing purposes, for example. So let's do that. Here, I have the official Flutter Gallery repository. Let's run it to see what we're working with. Flutter run -d Windows. D for device. In the interest of time, we will speed up these wait times throughout the session. Very cool application. It demonstrates a bunch of different functionalities that Flutter provides, with running samples and accompanying code that shows advanced Flutter functionalities, all working amazingly well on this beautiful Surface Laptop 4, running, of course, Windows 11. Now, let's say we own this application and we want to publish it to the Microsoft Store. How do we do that? Well, it should be simple. Aside from the basic information we need to provide, like description and screenshots, we also need to upload the application's package to the Microsoft Store. But we need to build this apps package with the right information in it, linking it to the specific application that we've registered on Partner Center. And that's where the CLI can help us. The Microsoft Store CLI can automatically configure, build, and upload our package. So let's start from the beginning. Let's configure our application. For that, we run the MS Store init command. Since this is the first time that I'm running this command, it will ask for the publisher's display name, which needs to match the one on Partner Center. Since I've already reserved an application name on Partner Center, when we run the initialization command, it shows it here. Now let's select this app when configuring our Flutter app. The CLI automatically detects that this folder contains a Flutter project, so it restores its pub dependencies and installs the MSIX package if it's not yet installed, configuring it with the right publisher and app ID. Again, this is custom for your application type. If this was a React Native project or a WinApp SDK project, it would have done completely different steps. But everything is automatic. We don't have to worry about this. Let's open VS Code. We can see everything that the CLI did for us. We can see the MSIX dev dependency and the configurations that were set. It even generated the app's PNG icon, which will be the app's icon on Windows when we install our app, and it's based on the ICO file of our Windows project. Let's just quickly commit these changes and push them so we don't ever lose this. Let's go to VS Code's source control, add the changed files, and give it a message. Let's say added Microsoft Store configuration. Let's commit and sync. Okay, this should be good for now. Now everything is ready to go. We can build our project and upload our package. Now to package our app, all we have to do is run the msstore package -v command just so we see the verbose logs. It automatically calls the Flutter's MSIX package commands to pack our app. As you can see, our package has been built and the CLI outputs its location in green. From here, all we need to do to publish our app with, yep, you guessed it, the publish command. Let's run msstore publish. Since this is the first time publishing this particular app, the CLI asks for a few extra things as it tries to complete the submission. I'm just going to select the applications category, in this case, developer tools, and inform how many listings we want. Each listing maps to a specific language, and for simplicity, I'm just choosing one in English. From here, the CLI takes care of everything for me, updating the submission, calling the right REST APIs, uploading my MSIX package, and committing all these changes. Of course, this is not a complete submission, as we didn't upload any screenshot or added any meaningful description. But from here, you can go to Partner Center to finish the remaining steps, like completing the required age rating and finish your app's listing. Now that we know how to use the CLI from our dev box, let's check out how we can use it in a continuous deployment environment. Continuous deployment pipelines can be very useful for Windows applications, automating the manual steps of going to a website to upload a package. The CLI makes those steps effortless. Set up once and you're good to go. Let's see how we should do this for our Flutter Gallery app. The Flutter Gallery project already has a convenient YAML file for publishing updates to the Microsoft Store. In this file, we can see that we are using the Microsoft Setup MSstore CLI GitHub action, which installs the Microsoft Store for us within our GitHub's agents build. After that, we call the reconfigure command with a few parameters, and then we call the package and publish commands. For simplicity, we only trigger this workflow manually, but you could do this as frequently as you would like, for example, on daily builds. The reconfigure command here is setting up the environment so the next MSstore CLI calls have the context of what account we're referring to, and the credentials to do so. The parameters we're using are passed using GitHub secrets, which we can configure only once for our whole repository. All we have to do is go to the repository settings page and click on secrets and variables, and then actions. Then for each value we need to create, We create a secret by clicking on New Repository Secret, providing the same names we're using in our pipeline. So let's do this. The first name is Azure AD Tenant ID. Let's type it here at the GitHub page. Its value can be found at the Account Settings Organization Profile Tenants page on Partner Center. Let's go there, copy this value, go back to GitHub, paste the value, and create the secret. Okay, 1 out of 4. The second secret's name is Seller ID. Let's type it here and go back to Partner Center. Here, we can find the seller ID just as easily at the Legal Info page. Copy the seller ID and go back to GitHub. Then simply paste that value and create the second secret. Okay, 2 out of 4. The third secret's name is Azure AD Client ID. So let's just type that here. This value needs to be created at Partner Center, but first we need to find our tenant's domain name, which can be found also at the tenants page. Let's go there just to copy the domain name to our clipboard. Now let's go to User Management page at the Azure AD Applications tab, click on Add Azure AD Application, then create Azure AD Application and continue. Give it a name so you can properly manage this later, for example, Flutter Gallery Deployment Workflow. And finally, give it a reply URL and app ID URL. The only requirement for both these URLs is that they are within the domain of our tenant as well as HTTPS. That is why we needed that domain that is in our clipboard. Again, they don't need to be valid URLs, so ignore any validation errors. Let's just use reply_URL at the end of the domain for the reply URL and Flutter_Gallery for the app ID URL. Let's click on Next, then select Manager Windows, just like how we did when we configured our local CLI. Then click on Create, and boom, we're done. Now we have our Azure AD Client ID. Let's copy its value, go back to GitHub, and finally create this variable. 3 out of 4. Okay. The last value's name is Azure AD Client Secret. So let's just type it there. Now we can create it by going back to Partner Center and selecting our Azure AD app that we just created and clicking on the Add New Key button at the top right of the screen. It will create a secret for us, so it won't print it again. We must copy it now. It is the key value. Copy it, go back to GitHub, paste it, click Add Secret, and boom, we're done. If we go back to our Action Secrets page, we need to be able to see all 4 secrets there. If you don't, then you probably missed something. Our continuous deployment build should be all set up. We can manually run it by going to the Actions tab of GitHub repository, selecting the workflow, and running it. It should take a few minutes to build everything, since this is building and packaging the whole Flutter Gallery app, which is quite large in release mode. Once it finishes, you should have the new version automatically uploaded to Partner Center. Isn't that great? We automated the whole flow with only a few lines of YAML. We also support Azure DevOps, and you can conveniently find our custom extension in the Visual Studio Marketplace. And that's a lap. If you want to know more, you can check out our GitHub repo, as well as our docs, where we have all of these steps that were demonstrated here and more for you to follow at your own pace. And that's all I had to share. We hope you enjoyed watching this session as much as we enjoyed recording it, and I hope to see your app soon at the Microsoft Store. See you later.